I wrote something down in my journal this morning. And I wrote, let not fame be the goal, but personal triumph in the expansion of one's own, of one own's consciousness be the goal. And the reason that I wrote that down was because I had this desire, which is what I'm doing now, to start this personal blog. And I really just want to do it for me, because I want to get some things out. And I want to share it with people, because not only do I want to do it for my own personal growth and my own personal journey, and, for deepening the understanding of myself and the world. Hopefully along the way I can help others as well on their journey, and maybe you'll find it beneficial to listen to me. But the reason I wrote that down in my journal this morning is because when I had this desire to take this journey, right? This journey into the unknown, these feelings of unsureness and ambivalence within myself came up, and I started to feel insecure, and I started to judge myself, and I was like, well, you can't do that, or don't do that because other people do that already, or whatever it was that my brain was telling me. They were all negative feelings, right? And I started to realize, there's a root to these negative feelings. And when you take that dive down that rabbit hole into your subconscious mind, you start to realize that these feelings, these negative feelings, these feelings of unsureness are coming from a place of trauma. And they're really just a past wound that you haven't healed. And by acknowledging that, you can start to look at those feelings and potentially identify why it is that you feel anxious or not good enough. And it was Heinz Kohut who said that a lot of trauma and those negative feelings that we experience, they come from adolescence a lot of the time. And it was because we didn't get that level of empathetic attunement that we needed from our parents or our caregivers, right? And that lack of care and attention and attunement, well, that creates trauma and a wound on the psyche, which persists into adulthood, and it lays dormant within the subconscious. And then those, negative feelings that we experience, the abandonment and the perpetual isolation that maybe we felt in childhood, which I know I felt, and I know maybe not everybody feels, because it is the case that some people have very attentive parents and caregivers, and that's good. But me personally, I didn't have that. So a lot of times I feel those feelings. And when we dive into the root of our projections, we start to discover that there is a reason that we're feeling this way. And it's not necessarily a direct implication of what's going on outside of us in our external environment. It's more or less a manifestation of what's actually happening inside of our internal self, right? Inside of our subconscious or unconscious. And these feelings and these past traumas project themselves outwards when we decide we want to do something, or we decide we want to be someone, or whatever that may be. That past traumatized self will come in and go, you can't do this because of this, or you're not good enough, or this or that, or whatever it may be. And what we're really doing is self-sabotaging ourselves, because inside we don't feel good enough. But really that's not true. You see, when we get down to the root of the projection, these are just feelings and unresolved past traumas, right? But when we dive deep into them, we can begin to resolve them, because we're acknowledging them and we're looking at them. So that's going to help us in the long run. And I've realized that. And even though I had these feelings of unsureness and these feelings of not being good enough, or saying, oh, well, this person already does that, and don't try to be like everybody else, or whatever it may be that I told myself, I realized that that's just trauma. And I am good enough, and I can do what I want. And whoever's listening to this, just because you feel negative feelings, right? Or you're projecting your internal turmoil outwards into the world, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how the world feels about you, or that's how the world is treating you. These are simply manifestations, or rather projections, coming from inside yourself. And you don't have to let that be your reality, right? You don't have to let your fears hold you back. You can push through your fears, even though you are scared, and still do it. You don't have to let your contemplation stop you from taking action. It's okay to contemplate. It's okay to doubt yourself. But it's also important to take action regardless of, however, it's important to take action regardless of feeling unsure. And that's basically what I wanted to say, because that's how I felt. But I decided that it's important for me to take this journey, and it's important for me to share how I feel, because there's probably other people out there who feel like this as well, who feel that overwhelming sense of isolation a lot of the time, who feel unsure about themselves and about the world and what they can and can't do. And I'm just here to let you know that I feel that way too. And it's okay to feel that way. And you can still push through that. You can still be the person you want to be. You can still become the person that you want to become. You can do all the things that you say that you want to do. And you can become the person that you say you want to be. All it takes is you taking action, and all it takes is you pushing through that fear of achieving, right? Of success. And a lot of the times, we're actually more afraid of success than we are of failure, because if we actually do push through our fear and achieve success, we're afraid of actually having that, of actually being happy, of actually, living the life that we want to live a lot of the time. And that's why we self-sabotage ourselves and do the thing that we know that we shouldn't be doing, when really we should be doing something else. And I'm just here to tell you that you can push through that. We can all push through that. We can all become the person that we want to become. There's really no limitations in this universe, in this world, because I believe that the divine flows through us. And the divine is infinite. So that means the infinite flows through you. And I believe that the infinite, or the archetypal realm, brings shape to our personalities. So that means that the infinite is shaping our personalities. That the archetypal realm is shaping personalities and selves. Or our idea of who we are ourselves, right? And if that's the case, there are no limitations on what you can and cannot achieve. There are no limitations on who you can and who you cannot become. Because the infinite, the divine, is the very thing that is shaping us. It's the very thing that is shaping this whole entire universe, and through digging deep and diving down into your trauma, into your ambivalence, your unsureness, your feelings of unworthiness, you begin to understand yourself on a deeper level. And at the same time, you begin to understand the universe on a deeper level. And you begin to develop a relationship with the divine, with the infinite. And at a certain point, you submit to it, or rather surrender to a certain extent, with still a certain level of authority over yourself, being your discipline. And in that way, you allow the infinite to flow through you, and you allow it to shape you and transform you, and you use all of your situations and circumstances as catalysts for transformation. And I'm here to tell you one thing. Transformation is 100% possible. I'm telling you that right now. You can transform. The human psyche is 100% capable of an infinite number of transformations. And once you realize that, it makes you feel powerful, because you grab onto your power, and you grab onto the power of the infinite, of the divine. And you realize that you are connected to something higher. A very powerful source, as we all are. Because we are all part of nature. We all are one with nature. So basically, don't let anything hold you back. And don't allow yourself to be limited in what you want to do and achieve, even if you feel a certain level of fear. And that's really all I want to say, man. So have a wonderful night. And really think about that, and pray on it if you want. And write it, maybe get a journal and write some stuff down. What do you want to do? And then go out and achieve that shit. It's going to be tough, and it's going to take a lot of discipline, but so doesn't everything. So set your sights on what you want, and understand that it's going to take time to achieve it, and then go out and achieve it. And it's maybe not going to be what you thought it was, but at least you went after it. And if you can tell yourself that you at least went after it, then hey, man, what else can you ask for?